Welcome back to another video. As you can see, this is something quite different. I'm going to be doing a painting of the golden cap down in Dorset. So I just wanted to share with you just a little bit of the footage that I took while on holiday with the family down in Dorset. This is actually the fourth time I believe we've been to Dorset. We usually stay in a place called Christchurch, and some of the places that we like to go, as you can see, Muddyford. We like to spend a little bit of time on the beach in Bournemouth. Just a really nice place that we decided to go again this year. One of the places I've not actually been to, I've seen plenty of programs on the TV, is this place, the Golden Cap. This is located on the south coast in Dorset, the Jurassic coast, and this is the view from the Golden Cap. So it's a bit of a trek. You have to go through this forest to get to it, but it's certainly worth the effort. It's a bit of a climb, but this is the views that you can see. So I thought I'd do something different this week, and I'm going to be painting this scene from the Golden Cap. As you can see, my usual setup here. I've got my tabletop box easel, and you can see I've just popped the photograph that I'm working from on the left hand side, just for convenience, that I can look over and start this painting. So the first thing I want to do is just sketch out just a few lines, just to map out where I'm going to be going with the paint. And although I'm using a reference photograph, I don't want to copy exactly. I'm just using it as a guide. I do want to put my own interpretation on this, so it's not going to be exact. So pretty much once I've done the pencil, I very rarely do look at the photograph. I just want a few sort of solid lines and just a few guidelines to where I'm going to go with the paint. So I do use the reference photo, and that's mostly for the colours that I use, but that's pretty much it. And there is a nice little gate here leading to the path up to the golden cap, so I thought I'd include that as well. So as for palette, I'm using my trusty Winsor & Newton professional grade watercolours. And you might not be able to see, but I'm actually using French ultramarine and cerulean blue. They look a bit dirty, they're a bit muddy, but they're the colours underneath that I'm going to be using for the sky. So I'm just mixing this on my palette. There's already a bit of paint on there, and I'll just leave my paintbrush there because it's loaded with paint, and I'm using my 1-inch hake brush, as you can see, just to cover the sky area in wet. So we'll be using the wet and wet technique, wet on wet, just to give that soft sky. There's quite overcast, so I want a lot of blending in the sky. I want soft pigment, soft colours, soft transitions, and bits of light coming through the clouds. And you'll see as I use wet and wet, that's what I get from this technique. So I am going to be working quite loosely, quite quickly on the sky. You can see I've just dipped in some darker pigment, and while that first colour is down, while it's still wet, I'm just adding various different colours just so that they can softly mix on the paper, and then I get the nice cloud formation that I'm looking for. There's all sorts of little almost little pockets of light popping through, and that I want to capture that on this in this scene. And there you can see what's happening there as I'm painting, as I'm covering the sky area of the painting. So I'll just grab a mop brush and just get some more of that dark colour, and just dab in a few little darker areas to add shadows into the clouds. And that's pretty much it. I want to keep it quite straightforward. And then coming down to the sea area, I'm using the same colours from the sky and to the sea area as well. I think a lot of times you do get the same colours reflected in the water. If it's a blue sky sort of day, then you will see most of the bluey green sort of colours in the sea. And I'm just covering the paper with the yellow, the nice golden sort of colour, and this is found in some of the fields. So I'm just going over covering that. Again, I'm not going too careful, I'm just painting quite loosely. I just want to cover that, and then I'll be mixing some greens and adding some blues to darken those greens. If you've noticed what I'm doing here, I did block in the colour of the trees and then added darks, so that's the shadows, and then I'm just going in with a semi-dry brush and taking out some of the highlights, so it gives that nice just tree. They begin to look like trees. You get the form of trees, and you got dark shadows, and then some of the highlights on the top of the trees. So I achieved this by adding darks and then just lifting off some of the colour with a dry brush. And I use a technique of just rolling the brush in between my fingers, so it just takes off that layer of dark and gives you nice colours in the nice grade, different grades of colour in the trees. So I'm just, as I'm painting the distance, there's quite a lot going on there, so I'm really not paying much attention to the photograph. I did pencil in some of the different lines. There's trees and lines separating the fields, so I'm just getting a few of those in, and then I'm not really fussed if they do mix. You can see some of the colours mixing and mingling together, but I think overall it does make a nice loose nice effect to the painting. It just keeps it nice and loose and not so rigid and perfect and straight. I do want things looking as almost as if they're melting together, and so that's what I'm doing here. If you do want straight lines and you don't want the paint to mix, then just all you have to do is just wait for that first colour to dry, and then you can paint in next to it or even over it, and you'll get a sharp, crisp line. So I've got my outline just going in with some darker, and I will let some of this colour dry. Sorry, I do want a few crisp hard lines as well, and so I do want a bit of definition in between the trees and separating the fields. And then I'm hitting this nice golden colour as well. I'm using mostly yellow ochre for this colour, and just touching a little bit of green, little bits of orange, cad yellow, which is a nice orange tone. And I will be using some of that colour in the foreground field as well. So for my beach area, this is again sap green. It's actually yellow ochre, and I've just lightened that up a little bit as well with a little bit of I think it's lemon yellow. And then the cad yellow, I'm just touching in the foreground here. You can see, don't be afraid of using orange in your greens. It does look quite nice. It just gives a nice, interesting look. And then with the 1-inch hake, I'm just pulling in some colours, making a nicer sort of green for the foreground. And then I've just messed my brush up a little bit, and I'm picking up some of those darks. And with it being a field, it wants to be have some texture to it, and so I'm just using my hairbrush to do that. Now I do have lots of watercolour pencils that I don't usually use. I don't think I've ever used them actually, and they're quite expensive. So I just thought I'd use some of these. With it being the grass, you can sort of experiment, and so I'm just using, I guess this is yellow ochre again, just adding a little bit of texture here and there, and then I will just add a little bit of water to it just to soften it and blend it into the painting itself. But let me know what you think. Do you use watercolour pencils with your watercolour painting? Let me know if you do. Let me know of your thoughts. And also let me know what you think of if you've been to Dorset, if you've actually been to the Jurassic coast. One of the places that we really enjoyed going to was a place called Charmouth. And that's where you can find lots of fossils on the beach, and that's one of the reasons why they call it Jurassic Coast. There's lots of fossils, and it's really nice for lots of history, and the scenery is just stunning. In fact, we spent I think I did close to 1,000 miles driving this holiday in a week. So it's pretty much like a month's worth of driving in 1 week. So it's nice to be back home, get a little bit of a rest. It really was quite tiring. I do all the driving, so that's why I've not really done any painting. I did have my paints, and I had a couple of sketchbooks. I took them with me, but I've just really concentrated on getting some nice pictures and things that I can paint. So I might do a couple more paintings of Dorset in the next couple of weeks. So the painting's coming to a close. Just adding some final darks. It does look nice with some more darks in the tree line in the middle of the painting, and so that sort of separates the foreground from the background, and so it just gives that nice look. And then, as always, I'd just like to pop a couple of birds in there. So I'm not going too wild, just a few little birds flying, and then just gonna remove the masking tape, and then if you keep watching, I've just got some more drone footage at the end of the video, so just a couple more minutes of that. But that's it. That's pretty much the painting for this week. I hope you enjoy it. Give it a go, and if you are on the Jurassic coast, if you are in Dorset, then do give this a visit, the Golden Cap. It is a National Trust site, so if you're a National Trust member, you can park for free. But that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this one, and please do leave me a comment and give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.